Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Moai speaking. Today we're going to be talking about Limbo. Limbo is one of my favorite frames, and I've been playing him since I pretty much started the game. I found him before Inaro, so he's got quite a special place in my heart. And I'd like to talk about him for a while because I know that a lot of people don't know what Limbo does these days. He's kind of an anomaly. You don't really see him in pubs anymore. Nobody wants to run him in pubs for, obvious reasons. But I want to talk about like what he does now and like what he's been able to do throughout all of the updates and all the time that he's been kind of off everyone's radar. Because I don't think that Limbo is as bad as people say he is. I do think that he does need a rework, but he does more than people give him credit for. So to start off with the main build here, there's a couple builds you can do with him these days. The one that I mainly run is I am abusing Helmet. So, for those of you who do not know, while you are in Limbo's Rift, there is an interaction where Warframe abilities are not affected by Rift. That means that regardless of what plane of existence you are on, Warframe's abilities will damage enemies through said Rift. So, I have taken advantage of this, and I have taken what I believe to be the highest damage Helmet ability that I can find. I have slapped it on him. I have given it in his 4 so he can use Precision Intensify. I have made him just go all in with the idea that he sits in the Rift, he launches this ability, he uses his natural regen to maintain his energy, and hopefully, sit there and do decent DPS. He's not bad at it because the thing is that the other option that you realistically have is Rift Torrent. And while Rift Torrent does have its place, I am personally not a fan of Rift Torrent. I think that puts you at too much risk, especially because Limbo is already squishy and fragile. I think that with Eximus running around, it's just not worth it to step foot outside the Rift more than you have to, and to be on the same plane of existence as enemies more than you have to. So I have just opted to not go for that, and this is kind of the build that I have wound up with, so to speak. There's probably some changes, some switches I can make around to it, but this is what I found to be the most effective for it so far. I may tweak this in the future. This may change. The best, damage helmet ability might change in the future, especially with Oberon's rework on the horizon. But let's go over it here. So duration is our dump stat. Traditionally, Limbo does want duration, but because we are not using Cataclysm, we're not using Banish either, so duration actually does nothing for us. Realistically, Limbo only has one ability on this build, but that ability is more than enough, as you will see once we get into the tests. But that's why duration is our dump stat. We want efficiency because we will be casting this as often as we can. We will be spamming the loving fuck out of this ability. Range is neither here nor there. It's primarily there for Archon Stretch to help maintain our energy economy. Something I could realistically swap out for is Energy Nexus to further increase, our natural regen, because Limbo, while in the Rift, has a passive regen innately. Then that stacks with Stretch, and it could also stack with Energy Nexus if I were to say swap out this Occur Secrets here. To give us just that really good fast energy recharge, because if you look at this is costing us 20 energy per cast, and we're sitting at what, 700 energy, 750 energy pool. So we can really, really spam this very quickly over and over before we even need to think about stepping out of the rift to get more energy back. And again, like I said, I probably could swap this, but I do want to have at least one auger mod in here just for that shield gating, because that's always really nice. I could also use Brief Respite here as well, because armor does affect this build. So there's a couple options here. You could swap around, move stuff around. It is up to player preference, I would say, how this goes, but like the other mods here are generally solidified. The coil recharge is what makes this build tick, so this is very necessary. This is what really lets it deal the damage that it does. Rolling Guard is a mod tailor-made for Limbo. This allows him to get in and out of the rift very safely. So if he needs to pop out, get energy, maybe get a life support or something or other, that gives him, the nice window to do it, and then he can hop right back in, wait the 7 seconds, and then he's good to go. The only thing he realistically needs to worry about is Eximus, and that is it. and he has tools to deal with those that I will show you. So beyond his main build, the other things that make this build work are the grimoire that I have here. So this is a grimoire that I use for every frame. Like, this is my support grimoire. I have a ribbon for it, just to, help push the damage up a little bit more. But what we are primarily using the grimoire here is not only the energy regen, we are also using secondary fortifier. So what you can do is you can pop out, launch the alt fire, pop back in, and this should theoretically still be damaging enemies. And that is really nice because this gives him an extra buffer while in the rift to have some survivability in case he gets hit by, a Blitz Eximus that, would otherwise rip all of his shields off, and that would leave him vulnerable. This just gives you that extra little thing that can sit in the rift with you, just have that, peace of mind and sense of security. So I really like having this for him. And then third of all, the other really key component to this loadout is the Panzerwelpepfeile. So as I mentioned, Warframe abilities ignore Rift. This also applies to pet abilities. That is very key. And so what that is for is viral quills. This is the pocket Saren, the thing that the Panzerwelp is known for. He can spread viral throughout all of the enemies and dramatically increase our damage for us. Like, this is a really, really nice way to pump up the damage of ability-based Warframes. If you don't have a Panzerwelpepfeile, I highly recommend you get this, because this is just status forever on every enemy. This is a Saren in your pocket. Get a Panzerwelp if you do not have one. And so we'll go and show a quick test here about how this build kind of functions, because it is surprisingly potent from my experience. As you can see, this groups them all up very effectively, and I can just kind of spam this here, and you can see they're dying pretty fast. Like, they're all dead now. Like, look me in the eye and tell me you've ever seen a Limbo do that to a crowd of enemies. Before the coil augment came out, what we were doing was using Ureli's Aqua Blades with its augment, and that was our highest DPS. So that's something I'm kind of watching for, is as abilities gets augments or as new Warframes come out and get updated, I'm always looking at what their helmet is to see, oh, would this surpass what we have for Limbo? And right now, this is a really, really powerful setup by Limbo standards. Like, it's doing really good damage. Like, especially if you factor in the viral that they get from this as well. Like, this really can eat them alive. And we are going to do a survival test on Mott. I personally prefer Mott over, Talvini, the Kuva Fortress. I think that Mott's a lot more friendlier to a lot of frames. I don't like Tau Vinny purely because, one, it's just Grenier. It's just heavy armored enemies. Two, Talvini has a lot more variety, and it shows how Warframes can deal with a variety of different enemy factions and types, because it's kind of the best of all factions. You have Nullifiers, you have Ancients, you have, the armor of the Grenier. Like, you have all these different things that it really can show how it stacks up to, these different issues when they arise. But anyways, enough of testing the Simulacrum. Let's go to... Alright, we are here in Mott, and we are ready to go. Hopefully we can make it to 10 minutes, because the one thing with this build is it does have a little bit of that DPSing issue. It can sometimes struggle with maintaining life support, namely because of one of Limbo's biggest problems that people don't really talk about, is that he cannot pick up items through the rift, and I think that is very much to his detriment. You'll see that as I am moving around here, like, life support and other items will, like, gradually accrue around my feet, and that will prevent me from picking it up. So that actually does kind of slow us down. But as you can see, like, it's very effective at what it does. It's a very, very good grouping tool. So, like, even like off Limbo, I think that more people should consider Coil Horizon over other options, just because of, like, how effective this can be. Like, this is only, like, a pretty short range, like, generally, because it's only just a stretch and nothing else. So... yeah, and, like, this is how he gets his energy back. He can get it all in one big burst. So that's something that's going from... I also have 5 Tau Forged Electric Shards on him. that is also letting me do the damage that I'm doing. Like, once we start getting, like, the harder enemies, like, obviously this is going to get a little bit more threatening. It's like, once we start seeing Exami, that will obviously put a damper on things. You see, like, I can just jump in, and I just got full energy just from having all that. And it's like, if you let it roll a little bit, it actually does technically more damage, because of the mechanic of this, coil horizon here. I always forget exactly what it's called. Well, let's see if we can't find, like, a decent tile to, like, hunker down in, and... Like, as you can see, like, I'm pretty comfortable right now, again, especially with, like, the auger mod. You know, that's keeping my energy up. Oh, hello. And here we can show you the, second part of this. So that gives me a little bit of overguard just to have. And so now that if I get hit while in the rift by, you know, like a rogue, Eximus or something, you know, I have, you know, that status immunity. Like, again, if, like, a Jade Light comes in, you know, nicks me a little bit, or a Blitz Eximus comes, you know, I'm not, like, panicking. I have time to do what I want to do. So, like I said, we're about, you know, 2 minutes in here. Like I said, it'll probably be a little bit slower since I am, like, I think we'll just settle on this place. This should be fine. We've got enough, like, avenues for mobs to come at us, so... Hopefully this shouldn't be too much of an issue. We got the big-ass hallway in here. I said, we're still at, like, a clean 100 life support. We're a little bit ahead of the curve, actually. Damage-wise. We're just a little bit above 100 kills a minute. So, just to give you an idea of, like, where we are at. Like, this might slow down once, Exami start getting into the picture. Like I said, you launch out, you throw that, you dodge back in, and you try and make yourself scarce around them. Because, like I said, realistically, those Eximus are the only thing threatening you survivability-wise. And that is it. Everything else is, you just kind of ignore. And you see, like I said, there goes my overguard, but, like, again, that was the only hit I've suffered this entire mission. Because I'm sitting on about, like, almost over a grand of overshields. Like, that just shows you that I am not getting hit at all. See if that hits any of them. So... Again, the Eximus are starting to show up here, and we can start to see the, an Ancient. Yeah, we can hunker down on this tile. I actually do like this tile a lot. I use it a lot when I'm Octavia. I like to set my mallet on this center platform, and it's a really good spot for it. Yeah, the one thing that does get a little bit scary is, if we get the wrong, what do you call it? If we get Violence is really spooky for Limbo, because that rips him out of the rift, but, like, as long as we're mobile, we should be fine. Like, Mania is not an issue. Like, you see, it's killing the Acolyte, too, as well. Like, not crazy fast, but it's doing the job. Where is he? I said, you can just so reliably spam this so quickly. I said, we're maintaining life support, no problem. Vor is actually one thing that I've had an issue with. I usually need to pop him with this a couple times just to get him to fuck off. Because he will get kind of obnoxious otherwise. Like, he's not really a threat to you, but he just kind of doesn't go away. Yeah, I usually have to pop him a couple times with, the Chakur. And that gets him to fuck off. Where did he go? There you go, little shit. Yep. Yep, gotta stay ahead of the curve here. Plus that... Because the Eximus are starting to really come out to play here. So I really got to be careful. And just get a little bit of overguard here. Just need, like, not much at all. Just to get some, you know, a little, buffer for him survivability-wise. Anyways, for those of you who don't know, I call this the Space Jam, because all he's doing is throwing basketballs at people. He is slam dunking these Coil Horizons over and over, shooting hoops. He is Michael Jordan. That's all he does, but that's all he really needs to do. And if you do go for a more traditional build where you're using Cataclysm, I think that Aqua Blades works better for you. Because Coil Horizon does not benefit from duration at all. So there's no real... So there's kind of an incompatibility issue there. And you see how far these, like, lightning chains reach, too. Hey, Vork, could you, like, fuck off? Or is always obnoxious. There's one over here that I need to grab too. Whoop. That's dangerous. I was hoping to snag some overguard from him, but that didn't quite go as planned. That's fine, though. Like I said, you can see we fall a little bit behind the curve, which is... It is what it is, but, like, for Limbo's standards, I think this is really good. Now, do I think Limbo needs a rework? I think he does, but not to the extent that I think some people would believe. I think that people are just not creative enough with Limbo. I think that the Eximus issue is not so much of an issue as it is kind of a balancing factor. Because otherwise, he would literally just be able to sit here as another version of, like, Nyx and Revenant, where he can sit here untouched. So... like, it kind of makes sense. Like, he's the only one who has invincibility with a downside. And I think that that actually makes him a really interesting and dynamic frame, as opposed to, again, Nyx Revenant, who just can kind of sit there and not... and just, like, pillow princess it, essentially. And also, this Coil Horizon does break through nullifier bubbles. So, like, that is definitely a benefit that it has. Like, you don't need to be worrying about that. Just gotta hit him right. He'll eventually just get zapped out of it. There he goes. Into the sphere he leaves. Like I said, again, life support does tend to, like, peter out here, but, again, for Limbo standards, this is good. So, what do I think, what does Limbo need? First of all, I think some quality of life, just very small stuff, really. Namely, giving other players instructions when they are in the rift. Letting other people know, like with, like, a command prompt, oh, what can you do while you are in the rift? Oh, you can dodge out of it. That would solve a lot of the toxicity that Limbo tends to breed. Just innately. Alright, we got some overguard. Sick. Again, like, he can do better or worse depending on the tile, because, like, you're really dealing with, like, the gravitational mechanics of Limbo. So that's kind of, like, one of the, things you have to contest with is, like, oh, how well are enemies being drawn to, you know, the Coil Horizon, so pick your tiles wisely. Like, this might not be the best tile for it, but... like I said, we hit the 10-minute mark. We're almost on par with almost 100 kills a minute exactly, like, give or take. And I think that that's fantastic. Like, there's really not much more you could ask for. Again, I would not know how I would improve this. Genuinely, like, obviously if Limbo gets a rework, this is probably not what they are going to have in mind. But if I were to improve this play style of Limbo, um, something that I would do regardless is I would let it so that he can pick up items through the rift. I think that, like, pick up items, hack consoles, that would make so much friction with him be just a lot smoothed out. That way, he is not having to dodge in and out to grab items. Because, like, oh, even if he's in here, he is still threatened by Eximus, and I think that that is fine. Like, you can see, like, oh, I was getting hit, but because I have a build that is giving you an answer to that, it's not an issue for him. But that is going to be it for me. If you want to, see more Warframe build reviews, like obscure stuff, leave it in the comments. Leave any feedback, that's great. And don't forget to subscribe, and peace out.